Hey there guys and welcome back. Got 20 more new cards. Oh, and these ones I'm actually really excited for. Like the last ones I was like, but these ones are gonna be awesome. Lots of interesting things. Um, they also said they're editing the old cards, like Elzur's Thunder is becoming a 9, deal 9 damage. Because, yeah, they don't wanna, like I was saying, why would you run Elzur's Thunder if you have a 4 power unit that does 7 damage? But, yeah. So let's get right into this because some of these are pretty crazy. First up we got Cursed Knight. Transform a cursed ally into a copy of this unit, 2 armor. Um, this thing is actually really interesting because if you hit something low, like that Cursed Mage, then you'd end up getting, let's see, that 4 more. He'd be a 12 power bronze in that case. Um, we'll have to wait and see how many other cursed allies there are, but I could see this guy being pretty good. It's kind of cool because Northern Realms is finally getting some cool looking cards, and I no reason to complain about that. Next we got Slave Hunter. Charm a bronze enemy with 3 power or less. What? If you can set it up so they have a bronze enemy with 3 power, this is 14 power bronze for you? Yeah. That's pretty crazy. They're really, like, power levels are going to be crazy after this patch, it's even like, because there's a lot of crazy power cards for a lot of classes. But, yeah, I mean, obviously you could use it with spies. That's, then steal, like, your emissary or something. But, I mean, if you actually hit a 3 power unit that your opponent played, or you use, like, your Imperial Brigade to make something a 3 power unit, and you charm it and steal it, yeah, 14 power bronze. Really good card. Next, SIREN. They changed the art on SIREN, but I mean, I can't really complain. So, it's a 4 power summons Moonlight. Moonlight, they still won't tell us what Moonlight is. They're just hinting at it each week. Like, it better be something crazy new, crazy thing or something with how, like, much they're teasing it. But it says choose one, apply a full moon boon, or apply a blood moon hazard. So that's sort of what it does, which we knew because well, I knew because I posted it in a comment, but I don't know if you guys read it, but it said about they data mined the Moonlight a card and they figured out it was a bronze special that applied a hazard or a boon but nothing else. So still don't fully know what it does. But SIREN, depending on what Blood Moon does, I mean, they said it does stuff with beasts, and there's a lot of new beasts coming out, and she's a beast, so yeah. That's going to be an interesting card, probably. Now this one's one of the cool ones. Elven Scout. Spawn a bronze Scully Tell unit that is not in your starting deck. I know it has the spawn mechanic, RNG mechanic, but this is a little bit more controlled and a little bit weird. Because you usually want to run, the units that are in your deck are obviously units that you want to run, but then this guy pulls you a unit that's not, that you wouldn't be running in your deck from the bronzes. So, I mean, this could be an interesting card. Just because it's the way that it's cards that aren't in your deck are excluded from the spawn list. That's really interesting with deck building and stuff. I mean, it's probably not going to be competitive, but it can be definitely interesting to play around with. This guy, this is a really cool card in my opinion, even though he's only a 2 power. Then we got Clan Protector. Play a bronze item from your deck. This lets you actually look through all your bronze items and then choose one and play it on a 2 power body. Not too bad. Tutor bronze. Depends on what items you run. So that's pretty interesting. This guy, NIVELLEN. 10 power. Move all units on a row to random rows. Oh man, this card is so cool. It's a neutral too. It like, you know how you have that problem with row stacking? People who row stack against certain types of decks, like you play Skellige and they all row stack because of your harpooners. You play Weather, they all row stack because they don't want to be sitting in your Weather. Yeah, this guy solves that issue. And of course, movement Scully Tell. Like, if you had a couple Dalblithana protectors out and you stacked them all up on a row and then dropped this guy and just moved them all, your Dalblithana protectors would give you so much damage. It would be crazy. This guy is so cool. And he's cursed because they're putting in a bunch of cursed units. So that's cool. Then we got GOLYAT. Boost 10 power, boost self by 6. Whenever this unit is damaged, deal 2 damage to self. It might seem like a bad card at first, but this is a great pass bait. Like, if my opponent plays something that's 3 power less, what's the chances of that happening? And I throw my disloyal unit over, then I drop, and he passes, and I drop this, yeah, I'd get a free win on 2 silvers. That'd be crazy. But besides that, it's also great pass bait. Like, if you run this in Crones, you got the 20 power Crones, and then you got this guy who's a 16 power, and you could use either one when they pass you, and like, they're gonna have to be pretty far ahead. If you're ever facing monsters, you're gonna have to be really far ahead before you ever try to pass, because they have cards like this where they can just drop it and get 16 power. That's really good. I mean, besides that, playing it out right, like trying to before your opponent passes or something, is iffy, because whenever, yeah, you gotta hope that you're facing a deck that doesn't run much damaging stuff for him to get much value. But I mean, if he doesn't get damaged, he's a 16 power silver. That's pretty good. That's a little bit above really good. Like Abaya and stuff, they all usually give you 15 power in value. This guy gives you 16 if played right. He's pretty interesting. Then we got this guy. They are making it a real card. Oh, because I saw the art in the unreleased content art video that I did. I was saying, I think this guy's just a Halloween event card, and I was kind of disappointed because I want him because the art's awesome. But he's not. He's an 8 power, strengthen all your insectoid and cursed units by 1 wherever they are. Well, we're getting a ton of new cursed units. The werewolves are cursed. So, and insectoids, that's Aracuses and Aracus Bahamas, but not many people run those anymore. But still, this guy, he's an 8 power silver. So how many units would you have to hit? You'd have to hit 8 units and play them for him to make you a 16 power silver, which wouldn't be so bad in that case. That might be possible. I mean, if you're running Aracuses, that's 3 right there if you pull 1 and then drop them. So then you'd only need 5 more? This would have to be an early game play. Like, if you see this in the late game, it's gonna kind of be meh. But I mean, wherever they are, that means graveyard in your hand and everything, so... And it strengthens, not just boosts, which is really important too, with things like Geralt Yarden coming out and stuff. This guy's really cool too. Next, Giant Boar. Destroy random ally, then boost self by 10. This is kind of RNG that I'm alright-ish with. I mean, I'm not like super upset with this type. This is more controlled RNG, where you can set up the situation to your favor. I mean, if you hit a Priestess of Freya, then he becomes a 16 power silver, not too bad. He's a beast also, but outside of hitting like a 1 power unit, you're just losing value after you hit like a 3. If you hit like a 4 or higher power unit, it's not too good of a silver. Because I mean, 14's alright for a silver, but anything lower than that, you're not getting much. And plus it boosts. So like, Geralt Yarden kind of messed this up, or Mardrome, or anything like that, which people might start running things like that because of certain other cards that are coming out that we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, interesting effect. I mean, I don't think it'll see much play outside of draft, because yeah, they're coming out with draft. They didn't say it, but with some of the cards they're making, how they say they're good in the new game mode, it's obvious it's draft. Next up we got PAULIE DAHLBERG, 4 power, resurrect a non-support bronze dwarf. Really cool card. Of course, they said all classes are getting more resurrecting cards to interact with your graveyard. This one's pretty interesting, because if you resurrect a 6 power that does 3 damage and then strength himself by 3 after he dies, then you can resurrect him and make him a 12 power that does 3 damage, making that guy 15 power bronze and this card a 19 power silver just off that. So that's really interesting. Really strong card. I think is going to be, maybe we get some more dwarf support, which we are getting some more dwarf support obviously, but maybe dwarfs will actually see some play again. Because pretty much it's just been elf cards. Like, dwarfs aren't ran that much. Like, you run 1 in your deck, and then you run the Dwarven Agitator to pull more copies of that dwarf. Next we got Vreemed. 4 power, spawn a bronze Nilfgaardian soldier. It's a spawn mechanic. I guess it's pretty limited on what you can get, so might be alright, but that one's a... Next, Mahakam Horn. Choose one, spawn a bronze or silver dwarf, or strengthen a unit by 7. Yeah, that first effect, bronze or silver dwarf. I mean, if you pull a Barclay, like, that's so much value. Or Yarpin, or the 8 power dwarf that boosts everybody, like, or that card that resurrects one of your units. If you get lucky enough to pull any of those 4, yeah, that puts you in a lot better position than getting like 3 bronze dwarfs. So that's why I kind of don't like that at all. But the second effect of strengthen unit by 7 might be alright. Because I mean, if you have the dwarf, if you don't want to take the RNG game and use it in a more competitive sense, well, the RNG game could be really competitive if you actually hit one of the good units, because that'd be a ridiculous swing. But yeah, you boost up the Dwarven Mercenary, you make him, how much would it be then? A 16 power? He goes to your graveyard, you resurrect him with that silver dwarf. The next turn he's a 19 power that does 3 damage, making that a 26 power play with 1 card. That's pretty strong. Don't know if it'd be worth it just to run this card, because you're sort of sacrificing early tempo for later tempo in that play, which might not be so bad with dwarfs. Don't know yet, but I do enjoy, I mean, usually decks that are better sacrifice early tempo for later tempo. So I mean, if you do it the opposite way, you usually end up screwed in round 3. But this one might be good. I mean, the first effect's gonna be dumb, but the second effect is alright. Okay, Portcullis. Spawn a bronze or silver unit from your opponent's starting deck and boost it by 2. It's from your opponent's starting deck, that's kind of funny, but I mean, it's a spawn mechanic and you can steal a silver too. I don't know. Have to wait to see if this gets play or not. Yeah, this is another one of those spawn cards that's looking like it's kind of competitive, because it pulls a bronze or a silver unit. And I mean, yeah, it is a silver slot, but it would have to depend on the matchups. We'll have to wait and see how the meta settles out. Because I think if you got 3 choices, you would have to hit something good, because I mean, your opponent's not going to run a bunch of crap cards unless you're facing something like Spellitel. Then why you'll have a Sage, an Elven Mercenary, or a Protector. Like, those will be your 3 choices. But outside of that, I mean, you're bound to hit something good. Priest of Freya against Skellige, Sigdrifa, Grimmist, yeah, Nilfgaard, let's see. Well, Nilfgaard Spies might be iffy, because not too many of those cards are actually good for you. So this might be really good against like everything but Spellitel and Nilfgaard Spies, but they might be getting phased out anyway with a lot of these new cards. Next we got Olaf. This card, 20 power bear, and he's cursed, and he's a beast. Deal 10 damage to self, reduce the damage inflicted by 2 for each beast you play this match. Well, obviously you make a curse deck, this thing is awesome, and you can renew him. Like, if you play enough beasts that way he doesn't get hurt, and you drop a 20 power gold, next turn round you renew, drop a 20 power gold. That's pretty crazy. Or you play him at 10, use an Armor Smith and heal him, or if you're going with like strengthening Skellige, I might try it out and that type of thing, because you play all your veterans and stuff and they're all getting strengthened, and then you drop this guy, yeah, he'll be a 10, but then I play Yarden, Geralt Yarden, the new Geralt that's coming out, it'd heal him right up to 20, give Geralt, plus Geralt would be a 5 power and reset everything else on the field, so he might not just fit in the curse deck, he might be good in a lot of Skellige decks. That's 20 power gold is pretty good, well, really good. We actually pulled off. Then we got, this one's another cool one, Shilard. Truce, draw a card from both decks, keep one and give the other to your opponent. Oh yeah, they also said they're working on mill, like they're changing the mill cards and stuff, so mill's not going to be an issue. which is great to hear, I guess. I mean, mill is usually in like a lot of card games, but everybody hates it. Like nobody likes losing to mill, but in most card games, like if you mill your opponent and they go to draw a card and they can't draw a card, they usually just lose right then. In Gwent, it's different because you can actually still play out your hand and hope to overpower them, even though it's usually futile. So now, people won't be getting annoyed by mill so much because they're changing those. But besides that, back to the card. 9 power gold. Draw a card from both decks. Keep one and give the other to your opponent. Really interesting card. If you can somehow set your deck up so we know you're drawing into, you could pull off some funny shenanigans with this. Like, set it up so you draw into a foul ale, and then you just take your opponent's card and give them foul ale. Oh, that'd be funny. It's also a great round extender, because there's some cards, like, if you're running a deck that does good in long rounds, you want to run, like, round extender cards, and this is one of them. Not sure what type of deck would like long rounds. It's usually weather that likes the most long rounds. That's why some of them run NIVELLEN, because they gain more value out of their weather then, since the round's going on longer. But this guy, gonna be really interesting. Because, I mean, you get to pick the better one. But, I mean, if they're both really good choices on how you're gonna pick. Cool card. Then we got, oh my god, this guy's ridiculous. Vandergrift. This guy, 7 power, damage all enemies by 1. That's pretty good right there. Because, I mean, if you hit 8 units, not 8, 9 units. If your opponent has 9 units on the field, he's a 16 power gold, and that's not too bad. Also, if any of the units are destroyed, apply Ragnarug to that row. Wow. If you're setting up a machine control type deck, and you make it so they have a 1 power on each row, you just hit all their enemies, do 1 damage, kill off those 1 power, boom, their field's covered in Ragnarok. I mean, that'd be really hard to pull off, but it's a possibility. This card, wow, he's gonna be interesting. He's cursed too, and he's an officer. But yeah, this guy is pretty, I'm interested in that. That's gonna be fun to try to build around. Next we got, CIRI Nova. This is one of the most interesting cards they've come out with in a while, I think. I mean, it's CIRI, so I want a premium already. 1 power, if you have exactly 2 copies of each bronze card in your starting deck, set power to 25. Well, obviously, you're gonna have, it's never gonna be a 1 power for you if you're running it. I mean, if you're running this and you have more than 2 copies or only 1 copy of a bronze card in your deck, then you're doing something wrong. But it's basically a 25 power gold if you make the sacrifice of running 26 card deck and having only 2 copies of each bronze. And that does open you up to different deck building possibilities, but also limits you in some ways. So I mean, and a 25 power gold, like that's nothing to laugh at. That's really crazy, and you could renew it and have another 25 power play. So I mean, building a deck with only 2 of each bronze card, I'm gotta start theory crafting now. I don't know how the new update's gonna work with the Rose yet, so I can't. But this girl, yeah, CIRI Nova. This is one of the coolest cards of the set so far. Definitely really cool deck building idea. Sort of limiting, like trying to guide people into making different type of decks instead of just the 25 power decks with 3 of the good each of the good bronzes. Now you're actually getting rewarded for breaking like what you're used to doing in every card game, which is running 3 copies of every card that's any good. And if you can run 3 copies of it because you want to maximize your deck's success rate. This, yeah, really interesting, really cool idea. Good job. Next we got Trial of the Grasses. Deal 2 damage to a unit unless it's a Witcher. If it survives, boost it to 25 power. Oh, Geralt Yarden's just seems better and better with some of these cards that are coming out. It's just an answer. Because, yeah, they deal 10 damage to a unit. And so if you have something high that's 11 or higher power, then you can hit it, transform it into a 25 power. And in that case, it would be, 20... No, it'd only be a 14 power gold. So what you'll usually want to do is hit a Witcher with it, and then boost that to 25. Like you play Igni or Geralt Yarden, their Witcher, he's a Witcher, he's 5 power. You play this on him, he's a 25 power. There's a 20-point gold for you. Yeah, Trial of the Grass is really interesting, really cool. You have to wait to play around with it to see if it's consistent or not, but still, if you made a sort of Witcher themed deck and ran like the 3 Witchers that you can summon from your deck, then hit one of them, it's still net you like 19 value. If you hit the 6 power one, that's still really good. And of course, it boosts it, so if your opponent plays Geralt Yarden after you play this, you're kind of sad, but still, pretty cool card. Then we got one of the new leaders, ADDA, 6 power, spawn a bronze or silver cursed unit. Kind of cool for this cursed archetype, I guess. It is a spawn mechanic, but it's a spawn mechanic that fits in only like the cursed archetype, so it's a cursed leader. I don't know, I'm iffy about this one. The RNG aspect is telling me no, but the fact that it's sticking to a certain archetype, so that way it's not like easily abused. Yeah, you know you're going to be dealing with cursed deck, and now okay, they can spawn any cursed unit. Seems interesting either way. Then Whispering Hillock, 6 power, spawn an organic card. He's a new monster leader. Yeah, seems all the new leaders are probably going to be spawn mechanic leaders. Spawn an organic card. There's a lot of organic cards in the game. Can be harder to get value off him and harder to judge him. So I mean, spawn mechanic cards. Gotta wait for them to come out to see how crazy they can be. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, besides the new leaders are kind of like not as exciting as I thought they'd be, but to make up for that, they got a lot of new interesting cards coming out. There's so many, at least in this patch, in this 20 power preview. Let me see. I like CIRI Nova, Trial of Grasses, Vandergrift, Shillard, OLAF, not PORTCULLIS, no, PAULIE, DAHLBERG, GOLYAT, NIVELLEN, ELVEN Scout, SIREN, Slave Hunter, and Curse Knight. That's a chunk of the 20. That's just like, wow, these are really cool cards. So definitely makes up for last patch of being very boring, or last 20 cards they previewed being very, very boring, and some of them slightly agitating. But this set, yeah, this is getting me hyped again. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, have a good one.